There was a little noticed development at the New York Times, and this dropped last week. Editor Laura Katzenberg said the following. Lauren, excuse me. Some personal news. New York Times at war will be winding down this week. John Ismay and I will be supporting election coverage for the next few months and then move into permanent roles that we can talk about at a later date. So, in layman's terms, the New York Times at war section of the paper is no more. They're getting rid of it. For those of you who don't know, New York Times at war it's basically self-explanatory, but it's a newsletter with original reporting on the experiences and costs of war. And I think I've gotten some of we've covered some stories from them on here. The New York Times has a terrible record in the sense that they've pushed for many of the interventions that we've had, and they've effectively done propaganda. But what's interesting is that oftentimes after the fact, they will then have some good pieces. Like I remember covering one, it was a story about a specific family and drone deaths that occurred within the family and the fight for justice to get some accountability and some monetary payoff, and how it basically fell through and nothing came of it. And so the U.S. murdered a family and there was no justice. So, but that's just one example. They've covered stuff like this. They probably were one of the first to cover the bombing of the Kunduz hospital in Afghanistan. There's some good work that's done there. Again, let me repeat. It's original reporting about the experiences and costs of war. Original reporting. They're getting rid of it. Now, some people might hear this and say, well, maybe it's a matter of necessity. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, what are they going to do? It's tough times. Everybody's struggling with COVID. So the economy's hurting. Maybe they don't have the money to pay for original reporting. In many instances, on the ground in a lot of these places. Yeah, here's the problem with that idea. It's not accurate. The New York Times made a profit of $140 million on revenue of $1.81 billion. They've been doing well in the entire Trump era. So they're actively making a decision, one they don't have to make, to stop doing original reporting on war. As somebody said on Twitter, it's kind of crazy that the Forever Wars are outlasting the New York Times section on Forever Wars. What bothers me the most about all this stuff is exactly that. Just how much it's not discussed what we're doing. Not only is that not fair to the victims on the other side of this, it's also not fair to our service members. I mean, I remember what it was like at the time. People, based on propaganda, based on lies, stepping up and saying, I'm going to serve my country because we were just attacked on 9/11. I'm going to serve my country. And we went to war. We're still at those wars. We're still in Iraq. We're still in Afghanistan. Thousands and thousands of troops are still there. And nobody talks about it. Nobody even talks about it. Nobody talks about it from any angle. The actual monetary cost, the billions of dollars we spend every single month that could be used here. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the lives that have been devastated as a result of this, the PTSD, the suicide crisis. Nobody talks about any of this stuff. And now the paper of record is like, we're going to stop keeping a record on war. At a time when there should be more than ever, more pressure than ever, more coverage than ever, a bright spotlight on what we're doing around the world. They're like, we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to cover the reality show nonsense that happens here. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. Scandals over tweets. And we'll keep bombing 8 different countries. We'll continue with the drone warfare. We'll continue with boots on the ground in Iraq and Afghanistan. We'll continue to escalate in Syria. We'll continue to escalate in Iran, try to add another country to our long list of the ones that we're invading and occupying and bombing. And the crazy thing is, nobody is taking a principled stand against these wars. Obama ran against them, and then he continued them. He would always use the rhetoric of getting out, and then we would stay. Trump ran against them. He's continuing them. He would always use the rhetoric of getting out, and then he would stay. Democrats nominally in the middle of the Bush administration pretended to be anti-war. Fundamentally, they weren't, because under Obama, they weren't. Republicans, you got some libertarian Republicans, libertarian-ish, I should say, like Rand Paul, always talks about ending war, gives Trump credit for ending the wars when he hasn't ended them. The sad reality is there's a bipartisan consensus in favor of these wars, and that's why they don't talk about it too much. They don't talk about it too much. Now, do they? And the media as well. Mum's the word. Military-industrial complex is getting very rich as a result of this. We have our hands on trillions of dollars in mineral wealth in Afghanistan, oil wealth in Iraq. We view it as very important and vital from a geopolitics perspective in the international chess game against Russia. We like having a stronghold in Iraq and Afghanistan. Smedley Butler said it, war's a racket. Now we can't even cover it in an effective way, in a real way. There's no substitute for original reporting. You know, YouTube shows like mine where we talk about war. There's no substitute for somebody being on the ground and telling us the stories. By the way, this is how we learned, for example, that we cut deals with warlords in Afghanistan. We were on their side because they were nominally against the Taliban, and the warlords we were working with had child sex slaves. Did you know that? We talked about on this show. Why? Because of original reporting on the ground. There was some brave journalist on the ground in Afghanistan who learned about this, who learned that there were American soldiers who were dishonorably discharged for blowing the whistle on our allies who are child sex fuckers. What? Who have child sex slaves. We have warlords who are criminals who we've aligned ourselves with, the worst kinds of criminals, because something, democracy? Freedom? Taliban bad? Yeah. Why is the Taliban bad? Because people think, oh, they probably have sex with kids or something. No, that would be your allies doing that. Taliban's got their own set of horrendous problems with killings and basically enslaving women and no rights for them at all. There's a lot of problems there, but point is, why are we picking a side in a battle among evils in a country that has nothing to do with us, where we originally said we got to get bin Laden and he's dead? Oh, that's why we got to go. We got to knock out Al-Qaeda. Mission accomplished. We got to knock out bin Laden. Mission accomplished. In Iraq, we got to get rid of Saddam. Mission accomplished. So why are we still there? Wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody to tell us these things, to do the original reporting? Well, we don't anymore. So this is a big story, but nobody's going to talk about it. And it's a slap in the face, and it shows how out of hand everything has gotten. Nothing makes sense, and it's hard to even laser focus on the issues that matter, because somehow, how the hell are we the only people talking about this? Seriously, how has that happened? Where something like endless war is just like people are just, yeah, I guess we just do that, and that keeps happening forever, and that's it. We gotta speak up. We gotta call it out. We gotta try to end it. We need more public pressure. This is a failure at every level of society, and it's really heartbreaking because we saw it from the beginning. We've seen it unfold all the way till now, and we just come to accept it, and we really shouldn't.